Hi, this is Tim Bost with FinancialCyclesWeekly.com. We want to talk about social upheaval and some very, very big market opportunities that lie just ahead of us here. What we've got going on is a series of Uranus Pluto waxing squares. This series has begun already here in 2012 and will continue through 2015. So it's a very, very important astrological event, something we need to pay a lot of attention to. And that's what we're focusing on here today. You know, Pluto has to do with big money and big power. It is a planet that has an enormous amount of influence, even though it was recently downgraded by the astronomers to dwarf planet status. It still has a big impact on what happens in our financial affairs especially. And Uranus is the planet of big surprises. Sometimes they're unpleasant surprises, they're explosive activities, things that happen suddenly and rapidly. So when we combine the two, there's always big trouble. Now, this has been going on for literally hundreds of years. The configurations of Uranus and Pluto have a huge, huge effect on what happens socially, what happens economically, what happens in your life as well. When these combinations of Uranus and Pluto have taken place before, we have seen times of massive economic devastation. There have been riots in which huge sections of American cities were burned to the ground. We have had social disruptions and assassinations of all sorts, and devaluation and debasement of currencies. We have seen runs on banks before, and of course there have been market panics and stock market crashes that have taken place as well during these Uranus-Pluto alignments in the past. Now, the last time that we had a series of waxing Uranus-Pluto squares, what we're getting right now, was in the years 1876 to 1877. So I thought it would be useful to take a look at some of what happened in those years. This was the time in which we were seeing the end of the Reconstruction period following the American Civil War. For about 12 years, the Federal Army had occupied the southern states and had federal troops in the state legislatures and overseeing the polling places and so forth. So it was a time of some tension in the southern states, and that was going on in 1876. This was also a year of a presidential election. On the left, we have Rutherford B. Hayes, the Republican candidate. On the right, Samuel Tilden, the Democrat. They vied for the presidential slot in the election of 1876. Now, in those days, there was not a direct election of the president by popular vote. It was done by the Electoral College, and so this was an election that was very, very controversial. And one of the things that was going on was the control of the Democratic Party and the concerns about the overseeing of the election by the Union troops that were occupying the area. What happened was we had a disputed election. Tilden lacked one vote of having the majority he needed for being elected president, so a special committee was appointed of representatives, senators, and Supreme Court justices, and they decided who became the next president. This has been called the fraud of the century. It was the stolen election of 1876 when Rutherford B. Hayes was given the presidency by this special committee. It was a very, very controversial, very divisive election. And was one of the first major disputed elections in American history. And after the election then, with Hayes as president, the federal troops were removed from the southern states. Racial warfare broke out in many areas. There was huge repercussions as a result of this end of the Reconstruction era. Now, this was not limited, of course, to the southern states in terms of the social tension that was going on at the time. The same year, in 1876 and 1877, saw riots in San Francisco, and a massive population assembled to try to oust the Chinese immigrants from San Francisco. Big portions of Chinatown were burned to the ground, and Chinese citizens were persecuted mightily during weeks of rioting in San Francisco at the same time. And of course, this was also the period of American expansion into the West. The federal troops were not only in the southern states, but they were sent across the western frontier to herd up the Native Americans and send them into reservations. And this was the year 1877 of the Battle of Little Bighorn, which was Custer's last stand. And Custer tried to round up 5,000 Sioux and to get them onto the reservation unsuccessfully. This was also in 1877 a year of a massive railroad strike that essentially shut down rail traffic nationwide. And again, federal troops had to be brought out to break up the railroad strike. And in this case, we have horses escorting the locomotives as the strikers stand angrily by. So again, the federal government used troops against its own people to try to enforce law and order repeatedly during this time frame. It was a time that created a great deal of consternation, and even President Rutherford B. Hayes said in 1877, "Shall the railroads govern the country, or shall the people govern the railroads? This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people no longer. It is a government of corporations, by corporations, and for corporations." How is this? So that was the reaction of the President of the United States to the situation at hand in 1877. So that was the last time that we had this particular alignment of Uranus and Pluto. The question is, could all this happen to us again with this alignment? Could it happen to us now? And the answer is certainly yes. We, in fact, are scheduled for and are already beginning to experience massive social disruptions, economic devastation around the globe, breakdowns in key systems and services. We're seeing armed conflicts, financial and governmental corruption, huge levels of stress and turmoil. These are all of the characteristics of this Uranus-Pluto waxing square series that we have going on right now, and it runs through 2015. But this is also a time of very, very big opportunities for you if you are properly informed about this series of astrological events and how it can be used to your advantage. If you know what's coming ahead of time, you can be prepared. And if you're prepared, you can do more than just survive in these very, very stressful and challenging times. You can, in fact, profit and prosper. And that's why we put together this new monograph on the Uranus-Pluto waxing square 2012 to 2015, Expanded Astro-Trading Opportunities. It's a brand new ebook that we have available, and it contains all of the information you need about how to deal with this stressful series of astrological events and how you can turn them into profitable dynamics for you. This is a brand new ebook that includes financial survival strategies, lively historical perspectives on the previous Uranus-Pluto alignments, key astro-trading insights, market data from global sources, astro analysis of these key alignment dates that are coming up, profitable tactics in the markets, and much, much more. You'll profit in this volume from 46 key alignment dates involving Uranus and Pluto, 12 big cap stocks and how these planetary configurations impact them, 7 market sectors you should be following at this time, 1 essential global commodity, 34 market charts that you can use to track the progress of these planetary alignments, 14 top astrological charts as well, 2 precious metals you should stay in touch with and watch very, very closely through the coming years, 46 key stocks to watch, 15 market indices, and 4 highly traded currencies. All of them are featured in this brand new ebook. This is an amazing resource that can protect your financial future, and it can open up new prosperous possibilities for you as well. And best of all, it can be yours instantly today. This is an ebook. You can get it as an instant download. You don't have to wait for physical delivery. You can get it right away by going online. You'll find it at bit.ly/Uranus Pluto. That's capital U, capital P. Go there right now to get your copy of this brand new monograph so that you can be prepared to deal with this entire series of events lasting from now through 2015. Very, very challenging times ahead and some very big opportunities for you as well. This is Tim Bost with FinancialCyclesWeekly.com. Thanks so much for taking time to watch this today.